had been living together for 6 months when it happened. The house was old, built in the 1940s, but the rent was cheap and the neighborhood was quiet. We loved it. That Friday night in July, we'd planned to go bowling. Amanda had been talking about it all week. She wanted to blow off steam after a brutal work week. We got to the alley around 8, got our shoes, and picked our lane. Amanda was having fun until he walked in. I had never seen her face change color like that before. She was pale as a ghost, and her whole body went rigid. "We should go," she said quietly. "What? We just got here." "Tyler, please. I want to leave." I followed her eyes and saw him. He was tall, gym rat build, and already staring at our lane with this expression I couldn't read. Amanda grabbed her purse and was already walking to the door. In the parking lot, she finally told me everything about the abusive relationship with Mike. The restraining order had expired 3 months ago. He'd shown up at her work twice since then. Never did anything, just watched her from across the street. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" I asked. She didn't answer. We drove home in silence. I could tell she was rattled by the way she kept checking the side mirror like she expected to see his truck following us. At home, I opened a bottle of wine and tried to salvage the evening. We ended up playing Wii bowling in the living room instead. After her third glass, Amanda finally started laughing again. I thought we had put the whole thing behind us. But around 11, a heavy thud from upstairs jolted us awake. I checked both bedrooms, the bathroom, and the spare room we used for storage. Everything looked normal. The windows were closed. "Probably the stray cat," I called down to Amanda. We went to bed again. Amanda fell asleep almost immediately, curled against my side. I was almost out when I heard the thud again. It was heavier this time, and it came from the attic. I slipped out of bed carefully, not wanting to wake her, grabbed my phone from the nightstand, and pulled on a t-shirt. In the hallway, I stood beneath the attic access hatch, listening. The steady creaking sound continued. I pulled down the ladder as quietly as I could. It extended with a soft screech of metal. I climbed slowly, letting the phone's flashlight cut through the darkness above. The attic was hot and dusty. Insulation was visible between the rafters. The boxes we'd stored when we moved there were stacked along one side. At the far end, near the small circular window, a chair rocked. One we definitely didn't own. The flashlight hit him, and he stopped rocking. Just froze mid-motion with his back to me. He was wearing dark clothes and a jacket despite the heat. His head was tilted at a strange angle. "Who the hell are you?" My voice came out shakier than I wanted. He didn't answer. "This is my house. You need to leave now." That's when he started laughing in a way that made my blood run cold, because I'd heard that before, at the bowling alley, from across the parking lot, when Amanda had grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the car. He stood up slowly, still facing away from me. "Get out or I'm calling 911. I put on a brave face, but I was already backing toward the ladder. Mike turned around. His face was pale and slick with sweat. His eyes were too wide, and his mouth was twisted between a smile and a grimace. He looked wilder and unhinged, the version Amanda had warned me about. As he stepped closer, one step at a time. I dropped down through the hatch faster than I'd climbed up. I nearly fell down the ladder, but I managed to grab the cord and slam the hatch closed just as his footsteps reached it. He hit the hatch from above. Each impact shook the frame. He kept screaming Amanda's name over and over, and claimed that she was his and could never leave him. I braced myself against the ladder, using my weight to keep the hatch closed. My arms were already shaking. "Tyler? What's happening?" Amanda was in the hallway, phone in hand. Then she heard his voice, and her face went white. Oh my God, that's..." "Call the police, now." She dialed, backing toward the bedroom. Her hands shook so badly she almost dropped the phone. Above us, the pounding continued. The hatch was starting to buckle. Amanda told me that cops would show up in 5 minutes. Those were the longest 5 minutes of my life. My shoulders burned from holding the hatch. He kept hitting it and kept screaming her name. Suddenly, the wood splintered, and his fingers appeared through a crack. They were pale and dirty and reaching for me. But right when his fingertips brushed my hair, sirens wailed outside. The pounding stopped. I could hear him move toward the small window at the other end of the attic. Cops caught him trying to climb out. He was still screaming Amanda's name when they pulled him back through the window and cuffed him. Up close, he looked more hideous. His clothes were filthy, his fingernails were caked with dirt. He stared at me with pure hatred as they walked him past. He promised he'd find her as the officers dragged him. The officers said he'd probably been up there since before we got home. Must have followed us from the bowling alley, watched us go inside, then climbed in while we were downstairs drinking wine. The cops said we were lucky to get out unharmed because they found weapons in his pockets. We moved out 2 weeks later. Amanda couldn't sleep knowing he'd been above us, listening to us panic over him, watching through the cracks of the floorboards, and waiting for the right moment to finish what he had started. She has nightmares now, waking up convinced she can hear that rocking chair creaking above her, still screaming her name, over and over.